Welcome back to the Whisper Nose. This is the place where stories don't scream, they whisper. Tonight's question is simple, and once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. What if it's true that the streetlights go out to warn you? Most people think a streetlight dying above their head is bad wiring, old bulbs, cheap maintenance. That's what Daniel thought too, until the lights started going out only for him. The first time happened on a Wednesday night, walking home from work through the quiet streets of Belmere. One light blinked overhead, buzzed once, and went dark as he passed beneath it. Then the next one did the same, and the next. By the time he reached the end of the block, the whole street behind him was black. Daniel turned around and saw nothing there. No movement, no one following. Just darkness where light had been seconds before. The next night, it happened again. This time, he stopped walking. The light above him flickered violently, then died with a sharp pop. At the far end of the street, under the last working lamp, someone was standing perfectly still. Too far away to make out a face, tall, motionless, watching. Daniel took one step back. The final streetlight went out, and when the darkness swallowed the road, the figure was gone. After that, he stopped taking that route home. But 3 nights later, while looking out his apartment window at 2:13 in the morning, he saw something that made his blood turn cold. Every streetlight on his block was on, except one, the one directly beneath his window. And standing inside that circle of darkness was the same figure, staring up at him. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He stayed on the floor beneath the window, afraid to look out again, listening to the hum of the building and the occasional hiss of tires on distant pavement. When morning came, the darkness under his window looked ordinary again, empty, harmless. He told himself that was all it had been, a trick of distance, a trick of exhaustion, a shape where no shape existed. But that evening, he asked around. At the corner store, an older cashier froze when he mentioned the lights. "You keep walking when they die," she said. "You do not stop, and you do not look for what made them go out." Daniel gave a nervous laugh. "What made them go out?" The woman didn't smile. "My brother used to say the streetlights fail when something steps into their path. Something that doesn't like being seen clearly." That should have sounded ridiculous. Instead, it sounded familiar. That night, Daniel left work early and took the long route home through brighter streets, busier streets, streets filled with traffic and noise. For a while, it worked. The city felt normal again. Then he turned onto Mercer Avenue. The first lamp buzzed overhead. His stomach dropped. The bulb dimmed, sputtered, and went black. Then another, then another. Each one dying just before he reached it, as if something unseen were moving beside him, one pool of darkness at a time. Daniel started walking faster. At the end of the avenue, under the one remaining light, stood the figure again. Closer now, still too dark to see its face, still perfectly still. Then, from somewhere behind him, he heard footsteps that were not his own. Slow, even, near. The streetlight above him went out, and this time, the darkness didn't feel empty. It felt crowded. Daniel ran the rest of the way home. He didn't look behind him. He didn't stop until he was inside his apartment with the locks thrown and every light turned on. Even then, his hands wouldn't stop shaking. The next morning, he found something on the floor outside his door. A dead moth. Then another near the stairwell. and another on the sidewalk below the broken lamp outside his building. By the end of the day, there were dozens. That evening, Daniel went to the public library, searching old town records, local forums, anything about power failures, missing people, strange sightings. Most of it was useless, until he found a scanned newspaper clipping from 1987. 3 teens vanish after blackout on Asher Street. The article mentioned witnesses who claimed the streetlights went out one by one, moments before the disappearances. One woman gave a quote the paper treated like nonsense. The lights weren't failing. They were making room for it. Daniel's throat went dry. Later that night, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. When the lights die, do not stay where the dark settles. He stared at it for almost a minute. Then another message arrived. It isn't following you. It's trying to get ahead of you. Before he could respond, every light in his apartment went out at once. The room fell silent. Then, from the hallway outside his door, came a slow, careful knock. Daniel stood frozen in the dark, phone clutched so tightly his hand hurt. Another knock, slow, measured, patient. Not the knock of a neighbor, not the knock of someone in a hurry, the knock of something that already knew he was there. His screen was the only light left. He backed away from the door, breathing through his mouth, trying not to make a sound. Then a third message appeared. Do not open it. Go to the window. Now. Daniel moved. He crossed the apartment in the dark and pulled the curtain aside. The street below was wrong. Every lamp on the block was out, except one at the far corner, glowing weak and pale through the mist. Beneath it stood a woman in a heavy coat, holding up her phone flashlight and waving frantically. Daniel opened the window just enough to hear her shout, "Don't let it hear the lock!" A sudden scrape came from the hallway. Something was dragging across his front door. Not claws, not metal, something flat and dry, like dead branches pulled slowly across wood. Daniel stumbled back from the window. The woman below pointed toward the fire escape. Another message lit his phone. It waits where the dark gathers. Move before the last light goes. Daniel looked back outside. The single street light at the corner flickered once, then twice. Below him, the woman stopped waving. She was staring over his shoulder, at the door. And then, from the other side of it, a voice whispered in a perfect imitation of Daniel's own. "Don't worry. The lights only go out when I'm close." Daniel didn't think. He ran. He shoved open the fire escape window and nearly fell onto the metal stairs, the cold night air slamming into him as hard as panic. Behind him, the apartment door gave a soft crack. Then another. Something was opening it. Below, the woman in the coat was already moving, waving for him to come down faster. Daniel took the stairs 2 at a time, the rusted metal screaming under his weight. Halfway down, the last working streetlight at the corner went out. The block vanished into darkness. For 1 sick second, Daniel heard movement above him. Not footsteps. Too quick for footsteps. Too smooth. Like something unfolding itself and crawling where a person should have walked. He jumped the last few steps and hit the pavement hard. The woman grabbed his arm and pulled him forward. "Don't stop," she said. "It chooses the ones who notice the warning." Daniel could barely breathe. "What is it?" She didn't answer. She pointed ahead. Across the next street, a row of lamps was still lit, for now. They ran toward the light. Behind them, one by one, the street lights began to die again. Not randomly, not failing, following. Each burst of darkness landed closer, like a shadow leaping from pole to pole, trying to cut them off before they reached the next corner. Daniel risked one glance back. He wished he hadn't. Something tall was moving between the dead pools of light. Not fully seen, not fully shaped, but wrong in every possible way. Bending where it shouldn't bend, gliding forward in sudden, silent bursts whenever the lamps went black. The woman tightened her grip on his sleeve. "It doesn't hunt in darkness," she said. "It makes darkness where it wants to hunt." Ahead of them, the final streetlight on the next block flickered and began to fade. They reached the corner just as the final lamp burst back to full brightness. The thing behind them stopped. Not because it was afraid of the light, because it had wanted them there. On the pavement beneath the pole, painted so faintly Daniel almost missed it, was a circle of old symbols scorched into the concrete. The woman shoved him inside it and stepped in after him. The darkness around the block thickened. Street by street, lamp by lamp, Belmere went black. Only their circle remained lit. The shape stood across from them now, almost visible, tall and human only in the cruelest sense. Its outline trembled like heat above asphalt. Its face kept changing, searching through features like masks it had worn before. Daniel felt his stomach turn. One of those faces was his own. "It learns you before it takes you," the woman whispered. "Who are you?" Daniel asked. She kept her eyes on the thing. "Someone who stopped walking once." The last light above them buzzed violently. Daniel looked up. "What happens if it goes out?" The woman answered without emotion. "It won't warn us twice." The bulb cracked, the shape lunged, and the world went dark. The next morning, the police found Mercer Avenue fully lit, quiet, untouched. No sign of Daniel. No sign of the woman. Only a dead ring of moths beneath the streetlight at the corner. And on the apartment door of the building across the street, 4 words scratched deep into the paint. "Keep walking when they warn you." This has been The Whisper Knows. And maybe the streetlights don't fail because the night is broken. Maybe they go dark because something ahead of you is not supposed to be seen. Good night.
Subscribe if you dare to listen.